Hi guys, in this video we're going to be covering how to play a big bad F bar chord. Now you may be wondering why I've got this guy sat next to me. This is my buddy Dave. Say hi, Dave.
Hi Dave.
He hates doing that sort of thing. I unfortunately have injured my arm, so I'm unable to play guitar at the moment. It's going to take quite a few weeks to heal, and I had a whole bunch of things lined up to teach you guys, so Dave is thankfully helping me out so he can demonstrate loads of things for you, including a whole bunch of Christmas songs we got coming up and some beginner's lessons. But today we're going to look at the F bar chord, which is played just like that. And we're going to be covering some easier options instead of playing the hard way to do an F, but ideally I want you guys to know how to do this F chord. So without further ado, let's get in for a close-up. Beautiful. That is our F bar chord as a close-up. Now the way that I'm going to teach this from scratch, presuming that you've never covered this chord before, is just tell you a little bit about this thing called barring. So barring is using your first finger like a capo. It's only really ever done with your first finger, though it rarely crops up with any other fingers really. And we're going to be basically using an open chord shape with your three weaker fingers and your first finger covering it like a capo. So what I'd like to do, Dave, is play an E major chord in the open position with your three weaker fingers. So move it back to where we are. Give it a strum. Sounds exactly like an E major. We're just playing it with fingers 2, 3 and 4. Now what we then do is move that shape up one fret, staying on the same strings, and then we bar it with a flat first finger at first fret. It's all right. And the root note, we should be aware of root notes even from the first couple of chords that I taught you. If we go back to an E major chord with your three weaker fingers, so from second, 2, 3, 4, the root note of that is this open E string. We'll know that's an E because when you tune your guitar, that's an E note. The first fret is an F note, so when we slide this chord at one fret and we bar all the strings, that root note is increased to an F note, and therefore this whole chord, because we moved everything up proportionately, has become an F chord. Let's hear it one more time. Now the trickiest bit can be to get the thinnest two strings ringing out, certainly, and then as a separate part, memorising where these three fingers go. So often it's going to be a lot easier, if you just keep your hands on that F chord there for me, it's going to be a lot easier to always, for the first couple of times, if it's the first time that you've done it, for the first week or so, make sure you get into this F chord from an E shape with your three weaker fingers. That's the best way to remember it. If you can start to go straight to this shape, that's even better. But there's certainly two parts to it. The three fingers making the shape and then a flat first finger. So your first finger's actually slightly bent and slightly, if you just take your three fingers off, Dave, and just bar for me, it isn't bolt straight, is it? It's slightly bent and slightly on the side of your first finger. The side here is much harder than a totally flat first finger. So you want to be on this side of your first finger, and just demonstrate that for us now if we can get them all ringing out. Okay? You don't really need them all ringing out with that first finger, you just need the thinnest two and the thickest one, because your other three fingers, let's play that F one more time, Dave. So if you're still struggling with this F bar chord, one thing that gets commonly overlooked is the muscle between your thumb and your first finger may currently be underdeveloped. So that's this muscle here, and that's the main muscle that your first finger is barring using. So in all the open chords that you play, you may have your thumb over the top of the neck like this, for example, on an E bar chord, which means that that muscle just isn't getting used at all. And if that's the way that you do other open chords, like an A or a D, then your bar chords, any bar chord that you go for, is going to be really, really difficult. If you do all the open chords that you currently play with your thumb a little lower, like this, then that muscle is getting worked out. It will feel very different. Just go back to that E chord for me, Dave. And as you can see, it's kind of on a parallel between your thumb and your middle finger. They're at about the same height. And then when you come to play this F bar chord, that should develop the strength between your thumb and your first finger to be able to play this F bar chord. As I say, it's commonly overlooked, and if you're struggling to get the strings in this bar ringing out, then that can be one solution for you. As I say, this F is really tough. It's going to take possibly a few weeks for you to get this ringing out. So there's a couple of easier options. The first option I'm going to give you is an F like a C chord, otherwise known as an F major 7. And if you want to play that one for me, Dave. So with this one, we've got an open E string at the top, which means this chord is a slightly different F. It's an F major 7. We're strumming it from string 4 down to string 1, but there's no barring involved at all. So if we can, hopefully you guys can see that Dave's on the tip of his first finger and the thinnest E string is ringing out. That chord to a C chord, which is probably the most common change with an F chord, if you just want to play a C chord and then an F chord, is the most common change, and that's the easiest way to do it. Songs that use that change, you've got Imagine, what's the Oasis one? Half the World Away. Can you play a bit of Half the World Away for me, Dave? Dun, 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 dun. And then to an F. There you go. You know the song? I would like to leave this city. That's the proper way that that song's done, actually, with this F major 7. We can't do every F chord like that. We are going to need this F bar chord at some point, but that's just a really useful one. And then there's a hybrid F that I'd like to show you as well. Dave's calling it the John Mayer F. It's a great way to play bar chords that's slightly easier on your barring finger. And if you'd like to demonstrate that for us, Dave. What he's now doing is barring with his first finger just the thinnest 2 strings. Second finger's where it was on the F major 7, but the third finger's moved up by 1 and the little finger's directly underneath it. So essentially, fingers 2, 3 and 4 are the same as your barred F, right? But rather than barring the whole first fret, we're barring the first 2 strings, and you're using your thumb to mute that thickest E string, or even to get a note ringing out. But most people, when they play that one, as a guitar teacher, certainly for a beginner guitarist, I wouldn't recommend doing that. It is very much used. That's kind of the John Mayer bit, really, isn't it? But if you just relax that first finger, Dave, and just have it still on the string, we can actually get it so that that string doesn't quite ring out, and that's a very useful tip for doing this. This way of doing an F is also really easy to go to a C for. At least far easier than the F chord. So a great exercise is just to do a strum of each, strumming each chord on the first beat of the bar. So for example, if you go for an F chord first and then a C, strumming on beat 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3 to a C, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. And then we could go for every beat if that was starting to feel a little better. So 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Perfect. But at this stage you should know quite a few chords now. So there's certainly some common ones. For example, F to a G chord. What was that noise? There's a strange noise then. Okay. The F to a G chord is certainly really common. F to an A minor also. And I'm afraid if you just kind of go for F to A minor, Dave, for me. There's no real easy way to do it. I guess the middle finger doesn't change that much, but it's just something that you're going to have to repeat. There's different ways to learn a new chord, but at the moment, seeing as it's just this one chord that we're wanting to learn, the best exercise I could give for you is something called the center of the universe, where we put F in the center of a sheet of paper, and then you write down all the other chords that you know, and you go between F to every other chord, just to really warm up that change. But let's do that exercise, same again, and let's strum it for a bar of each, and let's get out of close-up. So what we're going to do now is go from a bar of F to a bar of C with 1 strum per chord and then 4 strums per chord. just as an exercise, okay?
Okay.
So 1 bar of F, 2, 3 to a C.
4 strums.
Initially just with 1 strum. So 2, 3, 4. F, 2, 3, 4. C, 2, 3, 4. F, and C. And if that's too difficult, you can do that with just slightly slower, so just do it to a slightly slower count. So if we go for a slower count now, from an F chord in 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, then your C, C, 2, 3, 4, F, 2, 3, and a C. Now one thing that I would like you to do, Dave is doing and I'd like you to correct, is strum your C chord from the 5th string, so that we don't have that thickest E string ringing out on a C chord. Nicely demonstrated though, Dave. So one more time, from an F chord, 2, 3, 4, and then strum your C from the 5th string, and it just sounds a little bit more correct. And if that's all good, we can go for every beat. So 3, 4, F, 2, 3, and C, 2, 3, 4. End on your F. Sounds great. Another really common change is from F to A minor, so let's go for that now. F chord, 1 strum, to an A minor chord. That's it. Back to your F, A minor, and also an F to a G chord crops up very frequently. So F chord and to a G. Couple more times. We've got an F chord to a G. Completely different shape. Keep playing it. There's no real good way. How did you find when you first learnt your F chord? How was it for you?
I hated F.
You hated F.
F was
How
the
long?
pain of my
How long
life.
do you think it took you to learn your F chord?
I don't know. It was pretty quick to learn, but it was difficult to get it to sound clean.
Yeah. So, how old were you when you first learnt your F chord?
18?
18.
Maybe.
I'd say I learnt mine about 13, and I abandoned it
Maybe
for
started.
I abandoned it for about a year. I thought, no, I'm not gonna
Wait,
do that one.
With F.
I can do an F easily on piano. Why do I need it on a guitar? So yeah, the F to many chords. There's no anchor finger. It's just a case of memorizing that movement. Particularly when you go into a C, there is an anchor finger. Your 3rd finger can stay down. So when you play an F chord, give it a strum. To your C chord, you can do it while keeping that 3rd finger down. A lot of people find that easier. Of course, if it's the first time you've done it, it's going to feel really strange, and it's going to take a little bit of time. For most people, it's going to be, a week to a month before you can use this in songs, certainly with any kind of cool strumming pattern that we're going to want to use. But yes, in essence, you have got the easier, certainly with a C, this, are we nicknaming it a John Mayer way of playing an F chord?
That's even harder down low, but it gets easier on these upper.
Yeah, so moving it up. The F chord can be a bit of a gateway chord, so for any other bar chords, the F chord tends to be the first one that we'd use. But we need you to use your F bar chord with open chords at this stage of the beginner's course. That is what this section of course of songs is all about. So just show one more time a C to the John Mayer way of playing an F chord.
From a C.
From a C. So here, you're essentially keeping your 1st finger still, and then we go to that one there. And again, a bar of each should be a great way to learn that change. So there's going to be loads of songs that use this change and that you can practice it with coming in the coming weeks. The priority for me is going to be getting some Christmas songs done for you guys. Thanks for watching this lesson. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you've enjoyed Dave for a change. He's going to be doing most of them for the next few weeks, so you get to know Dave a little bit. And please subscribe if you like these videos, and I'm sure I'll see you again. So you're telling me that McFly and Busted are doing a tour and joining force?
Have a look.
They're in the same band?
I heard a funny noise. Went out to the backyard. No, you're not. not going to be looking out for the new
Move
McMustard
that way a
tour?
little bit.
I for one am excited.
Are you excited?
I'm excited.